We're on our way to Virginia to Polyface Farms, and we're in West Virginia now, and I wanted to point out it's just not as green here. Good morning, friends. It is Friday morning. I'm having my coffee in my American Farm Tour mug, and in about an hour our family will be leaving for Polyface Farm, so we're pretty excited. Getting kind of busy, traffic. We're coming into Charleston, so hopefully it won't get too bad. We are approximately an hour and a half behind schedule because we got stuck south of Charleston, West Virginia for an hour and a half due to a car accident. We got off the interstate to go down a side highway, but it was backed up too. So when we first got into West Virginia, I noticed that there weren't as many leaves as there are at home. But now that we're even further in here, there's pretty well no green. We're just kind of driving around this morning. It's rainy, trying to figure out what we're gonna do with ourselves, but the mountains are covered in fog this morning. It's really pretty. We're walking around downtown Staunton, just kind of wasting some time.
Anyway.
Oh, it's like a little bunny candle. Cute. Does it work?
Yeah.
The rain's really picked up and we are an hour from our tour. We're heading out to Polyface, almost there. I'm hoping the rain settles down a little bit. We'll see. We're here!
Early.
Yeah. We're getting ready to tour. We have lots of people here. We're standing around making friends. Joel just showed up. It's raining, so we're making plans. This is baby Adeline.
Here, we're going to migrate out. We're going to load wagons here in about 5 minutes. So we're going to migrate out to the pavilion. Just follow me out there.
You have some nuts in there. Not Premier.
Yeah. There's some sheep in there.
Sergeant.
Yeah.
Turn it on that battery.
Yeah.
Can you turn the wire?
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
See the pigs. Look, the pigs. The pigs say, oh, people. People. I think they think food too. This is our tour dog. Oh yeah. Not much left of him, is there?
Look how minimal it is.
Kind of difficult to film underneath the poncho. Yeah. It's interesting how he's got that built in there like that. Going up a huge hill. Not only is it raining, but it's actually pretty cold. I bought a Polyface sweatshirt just because. Barred Rocks and Rhode Island Reds and what else? Silver Wyandottes. Runaway chickie. Get back in there.
And they like the rain. It's a bit different.
They call it brindle in cattle, I believe.
They have a lot of different ones.
Yep. Not really.
That's one of the cows. They're doing
Your poncho's blowing in front of the camera.
Seems like a lifetime supply of things. It'll probably last.
they just turn the console. It's close.
Stop.
Good, good. Yeah, there's a couple bales here that folks can sit on. You can get real close like butter butts. Chairs over there. So I think everybody that needs to sit will be able to sit, and the folks that don't need to sit can stand. Good. All right. Well, that was a quick tour. But let me just give you a real brief overview, and we'll go in the order we went, okay? So we went out, and we went to the pigs first, and they all came to greet us very happily. And that is about a 5-paddock pig pasture. We have, I don't know, a dozen of those, so that's one group of about, 8 groups of pigs we have out right now. You saw the electric fence, waterer, feeder, and every time they finish that feeder, they get moved to a fresh paddock. And the diaries are quite powerful. 7 million head herd of bison. Captain Jim Bridger documented that in the Dakotas when he was there. Now that's always kind of intrigued me, Lieutenant, come up here a minute, please. Could you sharpen your quill a minute and get out a fresh piece of parchment? All right, start putting down marks. All right, 1, 2, 3. And there's a diary from a guy in Arkansas in 1870. Came over a ridge, and he said, and what he did, he couldn't see the whole herd of bison, so he had a watch and he timed how fast they were moving past him to get a miles per hour, and then timed how many hours it took them to move past him to get how long the herd was. And the herd was 50 miles long and 20 miles wide. And he said, I couldn't see any prairie between their bodies. We can hardly fathom the amount of production that was here. The passenger pigeons, Audubon sat under a tree in 1800, and he wrote in his diary, he said, I couldn't see the sun for 3 days because the birds blocked the sun for 3 days. One flock of birds. Wow. 3 days.
And you try to do a mob stocking. How would you figure out how many goats to put in so much space? Would you figure out about the same way as you would the cattle?
Yeah. How many animals to put in a space for how long? One of the beauties of goats is that they are browsers, not grazers. And so they want to eat 70% of their diet above their shoulders, okay, up here, right? So the goats are eating up here, cows and sheep are eating down here. All right, which means the goats are not as, if you allow them to express their goatness, to give them a habitat that allows them to utilize this 70% browse, they're very parasite resistant because they're not grazing over their droppings like a cow or a sheep. So the daily movement is not as critical for a goat as it is for a cow or sheep. That's the silver lining under the fact that they're way harder to keep in.
Yeah.
So when you build your goat control, whatever it is, it's more elaborate than a single strand for a cow, but you don't have to move it as much. So all these things have a silver line. Here's the problem with goats. The problem with goats is, remember what we said about the metabolism of grass and shrubs. So the problem is, when the goat defoliates the shrubs because they're browsing, and the brambles and everything the cow won't eat, right? They defoliate all this. Its metabolic cycle is way slower than grass. So when you come back in with the goats when the grass is right, the woody species and the brambles and the brush is not going to have rested long enough to return to energy equilibrium. They're going to nip that and they're going to kill it. Eventually, it's after a couple of years. So the rule of thumb is it takes about 5 years to begin liking your goats. And at 5 years is right at the time when they have destroyed their browse and eaten themselves out of their habitat.
But I have a second part question to that though. If you did the mob grazing with goats, you couldn't really run the chickens behind it because the parasite level is so much lower. Is there a way to make that work? I mean, do you think you can still just lower the amount of chickens that you would run in behind the goats? Or how would you go about that?
The chickens are going to pick up a lot of things besides fly parasites. I mean, probably 3/4 of what the chickens are picking up are just pasture insects. Okay. A pasture grows way more pounds of insects and worms than it does meat and milk.
Okay.
So what they're picking up out of the cow pats is very little. Now, if you wanted to just grow chickens on just that, then you wouldn't have very many chickens.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's fine. It just depends on if you want an enterprise or a whole lot. Okay. But as far as computing how much area to give the sheep, I would want to move them at least weekly, just to be on the safe side. And what you'll do is just like the cows, when you convert everything to goat equivalents. Okay, I gave them this much for this much time. Was it too much? Was it too little? Every time you make your shift, your paddock shift, you're testing yourself. Are they happy? Did I short them? Did I give them enough? Whatever. And so by moving the cows every day, we have 365 tests a year. That's why we can learn real fast and real skillfully how much to give them, because we're getting tested every single day. So if you're not moving them as frequently, your test will not come as frequently. But goats are a little more forgiving in that because they do graze up here. Now, the problem is that in 5 years, the goats eat themselves out of their habitat. Then we turn them into grazers. Now they're eating mainly below their shoulders because the browse is all dead and the brambles are gone, and they've done this beautiful thing that goats do. And now we start getting retained placentas, mastitis. We get hoof problems because now they're eating stuff that's too rich. That's the conundrum with goats. And so the people who have long-term goat success that aren't using pharmaceuticals and a bunch of vets and all this stuff, generally heal their own place, convert it to good grass and pasture, right? And then they start taking their goats to neighbors' places. And they do the rent-a-goat thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay? Yes.
We had a nice visit after the tour at Cranberries, and we're on our way home now. We left really late, so I don't know how far we'll get tonight. We'll just have to wait and see. Our Polyface bunnies. Hi, Polyface bunnies. We're home. Say thank you. Finally. Hi, I'm gonna get you guys put up in just a minute. Well, I haven't seen the boys in 2.5 days, so Isabel and I are on our way to go get them, and I'm super excited because I have missed them. There he is!
It was my pill shoe.
That's cool!
One time it went way off all fall.
It did! Hi, Gabriel! Did you have a good time?
Man, my mama called it pill shoe.
Apparently these girls are happy to see me. Oh, they're so happy. Oh. Down, down. Easter egg hunt. Are you gonna find some? I know.
Don't open them, just don't open them.
Did you find one? Yeah.